Despite some of the ups and downs to end the regular season, Kentucky basketball just scored an amazing draw in the NCAA tournament.
You are Locked On Kentucky, your daily podcast on the Kentucky Wildcats, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, what's going on, Big Blue Nation? Welcome on into Locked On Kentucky, your daily Kentucky Wildcats podcast. I'm your host, Lance Dawe, and on today's episode of Locked On Kentucky, we are going to be previewing Kentucky basketball's tournament matchups. That's right, the draw has been released. The Cats, I think, got an excellent draw. We're going to be breaking down the entire NCAA tournament here live on YouTube if you're watching here or if you're listening to the postcast. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you've not subscribed to the YouTube channel or the podcast feed, I would greatly appreciate it if you did. So thank you to everyone here in the live chat. If you've got any thoughts on this tournament as we work our way through, I would appreciate it if you dropped those below. Also, at Locked On UK on Twitter, go over there right now. You'll see pinned to the top of my profile a link to go join the Locked On Kentucky bracket pool. I'm going to make a note to leave it in the comments here as well once we're done, and in the description as well. I'll update that here whenever we're done with the stream. But today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when their first $5 bet wins. Let's go ahead and get into it. Kentucky basketball, their seed and their draw has been announced in the NCAA tournament. I almost said SEC tournament. And gentlemen, it is almost exactly what we expected heading into this one. Kentucky is going to be a 3 seed, but they're not in the region that we were expecting. They are actually in the Midwest region. We were expecting either the West or the South. And Great Kentuckian makes the comment. I tweeted about this right before we started streaming. Great Kentucky in the live chat. Did you see that Reeves is suiting up for us again? We are now guaranteed an Elite 8 game. If you didn't see it, the NCAA's actual website, whenever you go to look at these previews for these different matchups, it shows that Antonio Reeves is still the leading scorer for the Kentucky Wildcats if you go over to players. And it also shows that Kirk Risa is a game-time decision, even though we all know that Risa is obviously out for the season. But, man, this is a very interesting spot for Kentucky to be in. As a 3 seed, other 3 seeds, you can look at Texas Tech, Iowa State, and Wisconsin. I think this all checks out here for the Cats. The Midwest region was a little bit surprising, but the Cats going to be playing in Milwaukee to tip things off, I should say. And the matchup, a team that we had been monitoring. If you actually want to go back about 3 weeks ago, we did an episode breaking down what Kentucky's hypothetical matchups would look like if they finished the regular season, a 3-3 or what have you, with different possibilities in the SEC tournament as well. The Troy Trojans, they were a common opponent back then, and they are going to be the matchup for the Wildcats in the first round. If I'm not mistaken, the books have opened this up. FanDuel has Kentucky as like a double-digit favorite, 10.5, something like that. Ken Pom projects Kentucky to win this game by 12, 82-70. Of course, we'll talk about the Troy Trojans later on this week. I'm actually going to try and get Locked On Sunbelt hosts on to kind of break this one down here as well. I think that would be great to kind of get their insight on the NCAA tournament and then Troy, the Trojans, and kind of how they've fared this season. Because looking on paper, they are very similar to a team that we have already faced this season and beaten, the Texas A&M Aggies. It's very, very, very similar to Troy, and it's actually interesting. Brandon Ramsey of KSR tweeted out saying that if he had to compare this matchup, this team, to another team, it would be like a light version of Texas A&M. A&M lost to the Wildcats this season, 81-69. If you go to Hasla and you see what the line would be for Kentucky in this game, the projection is 81-68. That is the projection on Hasla, obviously 82-70 on Ken Pom. So this is very similar to what we have already seen, I think, this season in a much more, I would say, talented team. Of course, you want to give Troy all the credit. They were the 3 seed in their Sun Belt Conference. They made it to the title game. They clutched things out. I can't remember if they were the ones to take out South Al, who was the top seed in that that a conference tournament, I don't remember if it was them or Arkansas State, but nevertheless, the Troy Trojans, physical, create turnovers. They are very erratic and inefficient on offense, but they have the guys to absolutely spring an upset here. But I think you can look at this on paper and understand pretty quickly why Kentucky would be favored, even if they are shorthanded. Obviously, there have been several upsets in the past few years for the Cats, St. Peter's, Oakland. You don't want to go into any matchup, kind of dogging your opponent. So respect and credit to Troy. They're a team that deserves to be in the field and could absolutely punch Kentucky out if things go their way, which I think that's absolutely on the table. But if you want to look at this region as a whole, and this is what I wanted to really kind of dive into here today, why, excuse me, I think that this is a great draw for Kentucky, is they're favored by double digits over the 14 seed Troy. Ken Pom, technically, if you want to look at where teams are ranked on Ken Pom, this would be the best 13 seed. So it's not like Kentucky's getting the worst 14 seed out of the group here, by no means. But you want to look at the other 14 seeds Kentucky could have gotten. Lipscomb, a team Kentucky has already faced and beaten, but has been playing really hot basketball as of late. They match up with Iowa State in the South. 14 seed UNC Wilmington. I bet that team sounds familiar to Kentucky fans. They will be matching up against Texas Tech. UNC Wilmington, if I'm not mistaken, a pretty good team as well, 27-7 out of the Coastal Athletic Conference. And then you also look at Montana here playing Wisconsin. I'm going to pull them up on Ken Pom real quick. They probably would have been my other pick if I had to choose for Kentucky to face off against. But here we are, facing off against Troy in the Midwest region. I'll break down everything surrounding this region here in just a second. Actually, before we continue along, though, I want to tell you guys about our friends over at Supply House. You can get the supplies you need from the site made for the skilled trades, Supply House. Whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts and top 400 brands across the country, you'll find exactly what you need. It's delivered fast from coast to coast. And if you need help with an order, you can order. Supply House offers, and they offer expert support and industry-leading service on those. You'll always talk to a real person, which is huge for me personally. And for trade pros looking for an extra edge, their free TradeMaster program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every single order. Literally thousands of skilled professionals, some in my life included, are already taking advantage. And now it's your turn. You can join the TradeMaster program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Today's episode is also brought to you by Wayfair. Your home should reflect your style, and with Wayfair, it's easier than ever to make that happen. Whether you're looking for a simple refresh or tackling a big home project, Wayfair has literally everything you need in one place. They have a huge selection that makes it super easy to find everything in one place, and it's no matter your space or your budget. It's cozy furniture, stylish decor, kitchen essentials, outdoor must-haves. Wayfair literally has it all, and they've got it at prices that fit your budget. You can head over to wayfair.com and find something that's just your style today. That's WAYFAIR.com. It's Wayfair. Every style, every home. All right, continuing along here on the Sunday edition of Locked On Kentucky. Lance Dawe hanging out here with you. I want to get to the region here and why exactly outside of Troy this might be a favorable matchup for the Cats. But I do want to address our good friend Jacob Goins of the Locked On Hoosiers podcast in the chat. I am very sorry that Indiana did not get in over the likes of Texas, over the likes of Xavier, North Carolina, other teams on the 11 seed, 12-ish seed line. Arkansas got in. I do not quite agree. San Diego State over Indiana. And as Hoosiers points out, Texas, who is, I believe, the 14th SEC team to get into the field, has a losing record in quad 2 games. And the fact that North Carolina was, 1-12 or 1-13 in Q1 games and got in, and if I'm not mistaken, it's either their athletic director or someone at the university high up that is on the selection committee. Carolina, that is, tells you all you need to know. I think Indiana got robbed, especially considering the way that they had been playing as of late. Picked up some big wins down the stretch. I just disagree with this strongly. So I do apologize to Hoosiers. Let's see. Is there anybody in our side of the bracket that can knock out Alabama? I'd really rather they not beat us a fourth time. Well, that's if we make it to the Final Four, which let's go ahead and dive into why I think this is a good draw. So your 1 seed in the Midwest region are the Houston Cougars, facing off against either the 8 or 9 seed Gonzaga Bulldogs or Georgia Bulldogs. Matchup of dogs there in the Midwest region 8-9 slot. You've got your 5-12 matchup, Clemson and McNeese. Will Wade and company taking on a very good Clemson team. Obviously beat Kentucky earlier this season. Purdue taking on the High Point. I believe I don't want to get this wrong. I believe they are the Panthers. Yes, okay, cool. I just wanted to make sure before I said something stupid. They are the Panthers. High Point has been playing good ball. If you didn't watch their conference tournament, the Big South Conference Championship game against Winthrop, they were down by like 18, came back and won the whole thing. Crazy stuff from High Point. Very, very, very good team. And then you've got Illinois facing off against either Texas or Xavier, and it would be either Illinois, Texas, or Xavier that Kentucky would be playing if they beat Troy. You look beneath the Wildcats. You see 7-seed UCLA and 10-seed Utah State. One of those two teams will face off against Tennessee, who is the 2-seed in the region, or Wofford, who Wofford is, according to computer models, not a very good team. But if they somehow found a way to upset the Vols, which I strongly doubt would happen, they would be probably crushed by UCLA and their defense, or Utah State, who's a very good team out of the Mountain West. I need to pause for water here real quick, guys. I apologize. Yeah, so Kentucky here matching up against Troy. So you've got either Illinois, Texas, or Xavier. This is a Texas team that you held a lead on at their place before completely falling apart. Extremely shorthanded, by the way, in that contest. Xavier, an 11 seed, who I don't know much about. I know that they were supposed to be better than they were this season. Let's see, pretty balanced on offense and defense. Good three-point shooting team. Do a lot of damage at the charity stripe, it seems like. Barely lost against Marquette. Finished the regular season on a 7-game losing streak. Or winning streak, excuse me. Jeez. I know Zach Fremantle's been there for like 7 years. Ryan Conwell's also a very veteran. They're second in the nation in D1 experience. So, very experienced team, but going up against Texas, and look, if one of them can find a way to beat Illinois, who is super efficient on offense but cannot shoot the 3 ball to save their life, and they try their hardest to shoot threes. I just had a complete mental slip. It's been a rough few days. But yeah, Illinois with their 3-point shooting, they try their hardest to knock down outside shots. If Texas or Xavier found a way to upset them, man, any of those 3 teams. I mean, if you're looking at the other 6 seeds, Missouri, who is a really tough out. Yes, I know Kentucky beat them, still really tough out. BYU, who I would not touch with a 10-foot pole. They gave them VCU, which feels like screwing the Cougars, by the way, or the Ole Miss Rebels, who already beat the Wildcats earlier this season. So I think that Illinois, as despite being a very, 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 very good team, I mean, if you're picking Texas, Xavier, Illinois, I mean, you see a very clear path to the Sweet 16. Very clear path to the Sweet 16. Lance Dawe locked on Kentucky greater than KSR. Sorry, Lance, needed to be said. I hope you understand that that's not how greater signs work, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know why you'd be apologizing if you were complimenting. If you're criticizing, we got to talk about greater than signs. Anyway, Louisville sure lucked out getting to play at Rupp. That's an interesting point here. We'll get to that later on when we talk about the rest of the bracket. But yeah, I think Kentucky, let's hypothesize here. Let's talk about the good. Kentucky beats Troy, right? Kentucky beats Troy, finds a way to win. Let's say they beat Illinois. Then you're looking at a matchup with UCLA, Utah State, or Tennessee, more than likely. You've already beaten Tennessee twice. Interrupting the show is why. Oh, well, I understand. Well, I didn't know that they were going live. I don't keep up with them that consistently as far as, their radio stuff. Keep up with Mario, keep up with Peak. They do good work, like great work over there. But yeah, respect to them. I didn't know they were live. I appreciate you watching though. But yeah, so let's say you beat Troy, you beat Illinois. Let's say Tennessee beats UCLA. You get a matchup where you've beaten that team twice, and everybody and their mother told me before we played Alabama, you can't beat a team 3 times, and then Alabama beat Kentucky by 30. So I would like my chances against the Vols again. Yes, I would, just because they have proven twice they will play a specific type of defense against UK, and Kentucky exposed it. They hit shots. You're looking at an Elite Eight, man. You're looking at an Elite Eight. You can absolutely get there. And if it's Houston, if it's the Zags, if it's Clemson, if it's Purdue, if it's whoever it is, all I know is that at that point, everything's on the table. Anything could happen for Kentucky. You could, if you're playing that hot, if you found a way to win 3 games, you're halfway there, man. You're playing hot, dude. It does not, if you're healthy and playing like that, it does not matter if it's Houston, if it's Florida, it does not matter. Kentucky would have a chance, and that's all we're asking for. I think Kentucky got a great draw here, because if you're looking around and you're seeing Missouri, you could have been possibly matched up with Drake in the round of 32, because they're an 11 seed. I would have rather taken a bullet to the head. You could have faced off against Ole Miss. You could have taken on San Diego State, who's a really good team. VCU, BYU. I mean, you really did. And again, I want to give credit here. Illinois is a great team, okay? Texas and Xavier, while they may not be great relative to the rest of the field, they're still very good teams. They've got talented Division I college basketball players that could make a run. UCLA is a very good team. Mick Cronin's a great coach. Utah State is a great team who completely revamped their roster and killed it in the Mountain West again this season. Tennessee, excellent team. We've seen that. There's a reason they made the SEC championship game. A great team. But man, if you're picking, I don't know if you could have asked for a better region if you're Kentucky. I think this is great for the Cats. So, well, let's look at the rest of the tournament. We'll talk more about what's going on in the live chat. I will get to your comments, guys, here in just a second. Before we do, though, we'll tell you guys about our friends over at FanDuel. March Madness is here, and FanDuel is giving you the chance to get in on the action like never before, because right now new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when their first $5 bet wins. That's $200 to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories or the Cats, and even who's cutting down the nets, like the Cats. Obviously, I've got my eye on a few underdogs this year. I just talked about Drake here. We're talking about teams like UC San Diego. We're talking about teams like Utah State. Maybe if you hate the Vols so much, throw a little bit of something on Wofford. FanDuel makes it super easy to back anyone with spreads, totals, and game props. You can stay in the action. It's super easy and fast. When you get paid instantly. There's no waiting around, so you can visit FanDuel.com. Get in on the action all tournament long. All right, let's talk here a little bit about what's going on in the rest of the NCAA tournament. So obviously we talked about the Midwest region, the bottom right side of the bracket where Kentucky is playing. Your 1 seed Houston, 2 seed Tennessee, 3 seed the Cats, 4 seed Purdue, 5 seed Clemson, 6 seed is going to be Illinois, 7 seed is your UCLA Bruins, 8 and 9 Gonzaga and Georgia, your 10, Utah State, your 11 seeds, Texas or Xavier, 12, McNeese, who could go on a run here, absolutely, with the way that they have played this season. McNeese, your 13 is going to be High Point. Your 14, Troy. Your 15 seed, Wofford. And your 16 seed, Southern Illinois University at Edwardsville, SIUE. Suey. Let's take a look at the South region because one of you mentioned it a second ago. There's going to be some matchups played in Lexington. And gentlemen, the number one seed Auburn Tigers will face off in the round of 32 against the Creighton Blue Jays or the Louisville Cardinals, who are sitting as the 9 and 8 seeds, respectively. I hope Kentucky fans pack Rupp Arena to see Creighton play Louisville. Make it loud, make it a hostile environment, make it fun. I think that would be really, really cool. I'll just say this, if Louisville gets past Creighton and they see Auburn might be in trouble. I will just say that. With the way that they're playing right now, Auburn might be in trouble. I will not pull for Louisville, but I do respect them. Michigan is your 5 seed in the South, facing off against UC San Diego, who has been an incredible mid-major here this season. Excuse me. They are ranked 36th on KenPom, top 30 in defense, 12 seed, 30-4. Just a great team. Excuse me. Just a great team. Michigan's got their hands full if Danny Wolf and the front court there can't handle them. Texas A&M and Yale as the 4 and 13 matchup. Yale has been playing hot basketball as of late. And Texas A&M's been pretty decent too. That's a very interesting kind of clash there. See if Texas A&M can impose their will. The Bulldogs will upset another SEC team in the first round like they did last season. Ole Miss, the 6th seed, facing off against either San Diego State or North Carolina. Very, very interesting matchup here with the Rebs, who have been playing absolutely good enough. I think they could have gotten up to that 5 line. I think they absolutely could have. SDSU or UNC, it's going to be a tough out, especially if everybody's healthy. Iowa State as the 3 seed, I think is crazy, but you also look at the other 2 seeds, you understand. Iowa State facing off against Lipscomb. Upset watch. Abso-freaking-lutely, despite Iowa State being a phenomenal team. Lipscomb, they've got some good players. We've seen it. Marquette in New Mexico. This may be my favorite 7-10 matchup. I got to pause for water here real quick. This might be my favorite 7-10 because of the fact that Marquette as a 7 seed, I'm going to say they feel underseeded, but if you look at their resume, I think it makes sense. Cam Jones is incredible. The offense is fun. You've got Donovan Dent for New Mexico, who could be a star if they find a way to beat Michigan State in the round of 32, and that's if Michigan State, the 2 seed, beats number 15 seed Bryant, who is lengthy and plays aggressive. Bryant is a sneaky pick to beat the Spartans. And listen, man, if I'm picking right now, I would probably take Michigan State out of the South region. But, man, Bryant is a sneaky pick to ruin some dreams here. I'm just saying. So that's the South region. Notable matchups, Louisville, Creighton. I think that Marquette, New Mexico could just be an all-time 7-10 game. And then if you're looking deeper into the bracket, you see San Diego, Yale in the round of 32. Maybe you're looking at San Diego State, North Carolina against Iowa State in the round of 32. Maybe you're looking at Marquette or New Mexico knocking off Michigan State if Bryant doesn't get them first. This is a tough draw for the Spartans, absolutely. It's pretty fun. Take a look at the West region. Florida got jobbed, man. They got jobbed, won the SEC tournament, and the committee did them no favors facing off against the 16 seed Norfolk State. Their 8-9 matchup awaiting them in the round of 32 if they win. The UConn Huskies or the Oklahoma Sooners do not want to touch the Huskies with a 10-foot pole, despite Dan Hurley kind of dropping the ball this season with the Huskies. still a team to be reckoned with. I mean, it's back-to-back national champions. You've seen low-seed UConn teams make runs in the past. Don't count them out. Do not count them out. Despite how good Florida's been playing, you might want to be careful there. Your 5 seed here against a 12 seed Colorado State team playing on fire are the Memphis Tigers. That's a 5-12 I would be willing to pick. I mean, look, Clemson, McNeese is really good, but Clemson's great. I'd have a hard time getting over the hump there. I'd take Colorado State right now over Memphis. That's just my take. Winners of the Mountain West tournament, really, really good balanced team. As are most teams at the top of the Mountain West, by the way. You've got your 4-13 in the West, Maryland and Grand Canyon. I'm not going to lie, I don't know much about Grand Canyon. I know more about the women's team, who has been just on a roll with, I believe, Coach Miller out there, like 30-2 or something like that. The Terps, man. The Terps, dude. In this region, if things go crazy, a team that I could absolutely see making it to the Elite Eight or further. I think a Maryland-UConn Sweet 16 game would be peak college basketball. That's what I'm rooting for, man. Give me UConn, Maryland in the Sweet 16. Lance, you are nuts. Texas has already beat us with a healthy roster. They loses in the second round, says Paul Schmidt. He says they loses in the second round. They've already beat us with a healthy roster. We were not healthy for that game, if I am not mistaken. In fact, I think that was one of our most injured games of the season, Paul. So if we're talking about nuts, I mean, we may want to go check the scoreboard there real quick. I'm actually going to pull that, or you know what, we will pull this up just to see. Because if you're right, I'll tell you you're right, but I'm pretty sure you're wrong. Jackson Robinson didn't play in that game. Lamont Butler didn't play in that game. Andrew Carr came off the bench. He still wasn't fully healthy. Ainsley Almanor had to start alongside Travis Perry. Yeah, that's a negative for me, brother. That's a negative. We were not healthy. How healthy percentage-wise do you think we'll be for our first game? Well, Robinson and Carissa will be out. Butler is in. There were some rumors about Travis Perry being injured. I don't know if any of them are true. I think Carr will be healthy. I think Williams is fine. I think we are as healthy as we could be, minus the 2 guys that are out for the season. This is as good as it gets. I think we're at if you had to put a number on it, I'll say somewhere between 80 and 85%. Just if you're looking at the whole, right? The entire product. Let's see here. We continue. Missouri as your 6th seed in the West. Drake as your 11. This West region could get crazy. This could get crazy here with the Bulldogs, who Bennett Sturtz is a bucket, dude. Bucket. Missouri's going to have their hands full. That's a fun game. Texas Tech, UNC Wilmington. Dude, JT Toppin is just a dog, dude. That's going to be a hard out. Hard out for the Seahawks. Kansas. I didn't even mention this. Hold on, timeout. I know we're like 28 minutes into this. We need to pause for a moment. Chat. And I say that unironically, and I can't say what I want to say. Kansas in the first round of the West region taking on the 10th seed Arkansas Razorbacks. John Calipari will have to face off against Bill Self in the first round, and if they win, or they beat him in the preseason, by the way, if they win, they will play, more than likely, the 2 seed St. John's. Okay? If you beat Bill Self, you get to play Rick Pitino. How awesome is that? Okay? How awesome is that? Best of luck to the Hogs. Best of luck to Cal. That's funny. That's awesome. Would love to see how Cal fares. Arkansas and Kansas are 2 of the teams I trust the least. With Arkansas's athleticism and Boogie Flan being back, anything can happen. Julie Sheving says, just now mentioning Kansas. It's been a crazy few days. Absolutely. Man, Kansas kind of fell off this year. 7 seed. Not great. Not great stuff from, I think, the preseason number 1 overall team. Sonny says, I don't think Calipari gets by Kansas. Kansas needs to carry on my wayward son. Appreciate you guys in the chat. By the way, I do want to take a moment. Tomorrow, I'm thinking at probably 6 Eastern. That's when I want to do it. I need to check my schedule, make sure if that's okay. I think it's 6 Eastern. If you're listening on this on podcast, I apologize. We are going to do. It's not going to be a show. It's going to be a live stream. It's not going to be a show. It's going to be just a live stream where we're going to sit here for as long as we want to, and the entire chat, there's 280 people in here. If we could get everybody back here tomorrow at I think 6 Eastern is when I'm going to do it. I'm going to let y'all pick. I'm gonna run the show, but I'm gonna let y'all pick every single game in the tournament. I'm gonna run a poll for every single game, and we're gonna make it the official Locked On Kentucky bracket, and I'm gonna add it to our bracket pool on ESPN. I think it'll be super, super fun to do. Let me know if y'all are interested in that, but I think at 6 Eastern tomorrow is when I plan on doing it on Monday. So would appreciate it if you guys were back here for that. I'll let you vote, let you decide how this is going to go for the Cats and for the tournament at large. I will probably end up giving myself like 1 or 2 vetoes, just because if we're being kind of crazy with it. But I don't know. Maybe I'll just let everybody run wild. Maybe tardy to the party, work until 6 p.m. I may push it back a little bit for everybody. I don't want to do it too late, but I would love to get all of you in here to let you guys vote and decide. Because I'm going to have my bracket. I want y'all to have your individuals on the bracket pool on ESPN. And then I want to get, here is the official. This is what we, the listeners, think. And myself, obviously. So, let's wrap this up by looking at the East region. In the East region, you've got your number 1 seed Duke Blue Devils facing off against either the 8 or 9 seed Mississippi State Bulldogs or Baylor Bears. Then in your 5-12 matchup, you've got the 5 seed Oregon or the 12 seed Liberty. Crazy voice crack there. Don't know much about the Flames this season, but I do know Oregon picked up some big quad 1 wins at the beginning of first half of the season. And then I didn't hear anything from them, which is kind of interesting. Your 4 seed Arizona taking on your 13 seed Akron. The Wildcats, who had a rough non-con, all of a sudden get the Zips out of the MAC, who won a tight game. I think they were down 18 points to Miami of Ohio. They came back and won. And then your 6-11 BYU and VCU. That game should be cinema. Absolutely should be incredible. 3-14 matchup, Wisconsin over Montana. Your 7-10, St. Mary's and Vanderbilt. Thoughts and prayers to Vandy, because St. Mary's will make that game unbearable. I feel like every single year I pick St. Mary's to go to the Sweet 16, and they never do it. And the one year that they did, I picked against them. We'll see what happens this season, because if they win that game against the Commodores, they'll face off in the round of 32 against, more than likely, the 2 seed Alabama Crimson Tide, who will face off against Robert Morris. James says, hey, Lance, feeling any better? I'm feeling better. I just sound congested. I appreciate it. We are trucking along. I'm having a blast, with the tournament today, with all the different conference tournaments. Dude, the Big Ten tournament was awesome. The AAC with UAB and Memphis was great. It's a great time, man. We had a bid thief in the women's with William and Mary just stunning Campbell. That's like a sub 500 team getting into the field. Flonase, man, I'm trying. I'm trying. We are working through it, though. I'm chilling. I'm having a great time. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is your bracket. Your 1 seeds, Auburn, Duke, Houston, Florida, 2s, St. John's, Tennessee, Bama, Michigan State. Your 3s, you're looking at Iowa State, Wisconsin, Texas Tech, and, of course, Kentucky. Your 4s, Purdue, Maryland, Texas A&M, and Arizona. Your 5s, Michigan, Oregon, Clemson, and Memphis. Your 6, Missouri, Illinois, Ole Miss, or BYU. BYU should have been higher, in my opinion. And then your 7s, you're looking at Kansas, UCLA, Marquette, St. Mary's. Your 8 seeds are Louisville, Mississippi State, Gonzaga, and UConn. Your 9s, Oklahoma. You're looking at Georgia, Creighton, and Baylor. Your 10s, New Mexico, Vandy, Utah State, and Arkansas. Your 11s, Drake. You are also looking at Texas, Xavier, San Diego State, North Carolina, and VCU. Your 12s, looking at Colorado State, McNeese State, technically, San Diego, or UC San Diego and Liberty. Some good teams on the 12 line, as well as the 13. High Point, Grand Canyon, Yale and Akron, your 14 seeds. UNC Wilmington, Troy, Montana, and Lipscomb, your 15 seeds. Omaha, Wofford, and then you're looking at Robert Morris and Bryan. Your 16 seeds going to be SIU, Edwardsville, Norfolk State, Mount St. Mary's, American, Alabama State, and St. Francis U. St. Francis is another sub-500 team. I think won their conference tournament 46-43. That was just, looking at the stats of that game a few days ago, it was ugly, but woo, they're in. They are in, ladies and gentlemen. Well, I think Kentucky's got a great draw, and I want you to tell me what you think in the comments below. Do you think it's great? Do you think it's bad? Do you think it's okay? How do you like the region? How do you like the bracket? We'll be back here tomorrow to do your bracket predictions for this tournament. Again, if you want to go fill out your own bracket, you can go do so in the Locked On Kentucky bracket pool. Check out at Locked On UK on Twitter if you want to go find the link to that. It's free. There might be a prize for the winner. We'll just say that. All right, that's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Kentucky. Hey, you can follow the show on Twitter at Locked On UK. You can follow me on Twitter at LanceDawe_, and you can follow the show over on Instagram. That is at Kentucky Podcast. Any questions, comments, concerns, you can leave those in the YouTube comments below. You can hit me on the socials. I will see all of you tomorrow on another episode of Locked On Kentucky. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and God bless.